Oye, qué manera de cerrar. Lo podía haber agarrado a batazos y no iba a caer el tic-tics. Pero al final esa combinación que arrancó con los uppers y después remató con dos cruzados, de verdad no le arrancó.
On that liver shot, you see he's looking for it. He's creating grace bleeding from the nose.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's co-main event at 154 pounds between the undefeated knockout artist Charles Conwell and his Mexican opponent Jorge Chino Garcia. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. Could you also please remember to hit subscribe? A lot of you guys are watching my content and unaware that you haven't done that yet, 80% of you to be precise, so that'll really help me out and help the channel continuously grow. Also, like this video and be sure to go down to the bottom of your screen right now and hit the bell notification button so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Appreciate that. All right, guys, we have another week of boxing. There's a few cards, a lot of cards actually, going on this weekend, 2 in the UK, 1 in the US that we will be featuring fights from. This is the co-main on the ladies' takeover in Oceanside, California, headlined by Gabriela Fundora taking on Marilyn Badillo. That's an undisputed title fight for all the belts. This is the co-main on that card. Cleveland, Ohio's own. Bad news, Charles Conwell is taking on Chino, Jorge Garcia. This is a fun matchup, so in today's video, we're gonna go over both fighters' resumes, talk about what they've been up to, give insights on how each fighter goes about their business. Also, we're going to be going over those Las Vegas odds, so stay tuned to the end of this video. I'll be giving you my prediction on where to put your money so you can make the most of yours. Let's get into this. All right, guys, at my gym here in Sydney, when I'm dealing with new clients, corporate clients, not athletes, and I'm teaching them the fundamentals of boxing, one of the first things I talk about is developing your own style. I go in a little bit depth on how each fighter has their own cadence, how they move within the ring. Fundamentals will be basic. Jabs, crosses, the punch combination, how to properly move your feet. But over time, when you learn the sport, you develop your own movement patterns. With Jorge Chino Garcia, it's one of the things that pop off the paper for me when I'm studying his film tape is how he moves. His cadence is almost like a clock going back and forth, and he is a tricky opponent to deal with at 154 pounds. A, because of his length, B, because of his reach, and that awkward, tricky style. As soon as the bell rings, he's on sort of a march to get inside, and he doesn't do it traditionally. He's not sliding in and out. He's kind of here, 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 and he's really fun to watch. When I look at his tapes, I go back to the fight that he had against Reyes after his most recent loss. Now, he has won 7 in a row. 5 of those have come by knockout. He is 32-4 with 26 knockouts. All 4 of his losses have been by decision. 3 of them split, 1 unanimous. So give or take a couple calls either way, this guy could easily be undefeated. In my opinion, this is his biggest step up into competition against Charles Conwell. That aforementioned Reyes fight, he was coming off a split decision loss to William, and it's a great fight to start at in terms of, if you're unaware of Chino, to see how he overcomes a loss. And he started with that methodical style. He started pressuring his fighter, and it was an 8-round fight, and he eventually got the 7th round knockout. What he wants to do is confuse his opponent with his timing, throw a lot of off-timing counters, stay in your wheelhouse, get into the pocket like a traditional Mexican style fighter, not take too many back steps, and force you to fight him. This is why over a month ago when Golden Boy announced this fight as the co-main, true boxing fans were like, what? We were really excited because styles make fights. With his opponent, bad news Charles Conwell, I mean this in all of the good faith that I can, but if we look back and think about when Subriel Matias and Maxim Dadashev fought, and we know how horrific that fight ended, we know how brutal the sport could be, we know how dangerous boxing is. It's why on my channel, you'll never hear me bash fighters, because these guys put their whole lives on the line, and sometimes they don't make it out. And after Subriel Matias and Dadashev fought, you know what happened to Maxim? He passed away in the hospital. And this then went on to create this aura around Subriel Matias is becoming the boogeyman. But when you think about Charles Conwell, this happened to him as well. And I'm not saying any fighter ever goes in there and wishes harm on their opponent. But from the boxing community's standpoint, I don't hear a lot of people talking about Charles Conwell being a dangerous fighter, because rest in peace to Patrick Day. This also happened in a Conwell fight. And when I remind people that in the boxing forums, they then have to look it up, and they immediately come back to me and say, wow, I can't believe people don't talk about that. But It's a fact. It happened. And you hear Conwell talk about it, and he's highly reverent. He's a super well-spoken, amazing athlete, and he always talks nothing but kind words to all of his opponents. But I bring this up because he is a dangerous man. They call him Bad News for a reason, and I feel he's one highlight reel viral knockout away from everybody in the boxing world knowing and speaking about Conwell how they used to speak about Subriel Matias. So with Conwell, Orthodox fighter, Cleveland, Ohio, his style is more traditional. What he wants to do is a little bit more predictable, but what he does really well are the fundamentals. He comes in with that guard. He wants to close the distance as well, just like his opponent Chino. He wants to stay in that wheelhouse. He doesn't take many backward steps. He's going to be the smaller fighter, more compact fighter, but the way he works the body, in my opinion, is the X factor. He will break that ego down. All of his fights, he's undefeated. He breaks his opponent's mental down by breaking the body down. And what he does really well, I love the basic technical combo of lead hand, body, the liver, up top. He gets a lot of body shot knockdowns. He gets a lot of liver knockdowns, but he gets a lot of knockouts to the head. But it all starts with the body. So this is going to be an exciting matchup between two guys who aren't going to want to take too many backward steps. Right now, guys, I want to remind everybody about the event taking place this weekend in Oceanside, California. All right, guys, undefeated Charles Conwell is taking on fellow contender Jorge Chino Garcia in a Golden Boy co-main. Charles Conwell is 21-0 with 16 knockouts, and he spent the last several years treading water, smashing his way through mid-level opponents without ever seeming to really approach a title shot. That said, a win here could change all of that. Chino Garcia is 32-4 with 26 knockouts. We last saw him battling his way past Kudratio Abdukakarov in November. He sits right behind him in the WBO rankings at number 3, meaning whoever wins here should be next in the queue, right behind Xander Zayas. It should also be a solid scrap. Conwell's knocked out 5 of his last 6, and 3 of Garcia's 4 losses came by a close split decision. Like I said earlier, when Golden Boy announced this a little over a month ago, we were really excited to hear about this matchup. Both guys have an opportunity to force the boxing heads, the powers that be, to put them in a contender position and a potential title eliminator, because I don't hear anyone calling out Charles Conwell, and Chino could easily take that sort of hype around Conwell and put himself right there with that record of his. So right now, let's take a closer look and see what Chino Garcia has been up to. Guys, Jorge Garcia Perez is the number 12 ranked super welterweight in the world out of 2,202. He has 172 career pro rounds fought, and he carries into the ring an 82% career knockout to win ratio. His adoring fans know him as Chino, and he's 28-year-old Mexican Orthodox fighter standing at 6 feet tall. He hails from Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico. We last saw him fight SOD, 22-2 knockout in the first. Knapp, 16-1 knockout in the third. Ramirez, 21-2 knockout in the first. Johnson, 10-0 UD in the 10th. Cernas, 18-9 knockout in the second. Guys, like I said earlier, this will be his biggest step up in opponents. But when you ask each fighter, this is exactly what they want. This is exactly what they got into the sport to do. Personal development. They want to see how much better they can get from fight to fight. And Charles Conwell will give Chino that exact opportunity. He will stand there to get hit. He will be there to exchange. And this is why both fan bases are extremely excited to see the outcome of this fight. Now let's take a closer look at his opponent from Cleveland, Ohio. Bad News, Charles Conwell. Guys, Conwell's 21-0 with 16 knockouts out of 2,202 super welterweights in the world. He's ranked number 10. He carries into the ring a 76% knockout to win ratio and has a career 107 professional rounds fought. His adoring fans call him Bad News. The 27-year-old American, an Orthodox fighter standing at 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. He hails from Cleveland, Ohio. We last saw him fight Vergara, 20-0 knockout in the 7th. Gray, 18-6 knockout in the 2nd. Gallimore, 22-7 knockout in the 6th. Abreu, 25-6 majority decision in the 10th. Ramirez, 19-9 knockout in the 3rd. With Charles Conwell, his plan of attack is going to be predictable. We already talked about that. We know what he's going to want to do. He's a fun fighter because he doesn't ever engage in backwards fights. He wants to test his opponent's ego. He wants to put his power on full display, and he wants to, at the end of the day, knock his opponent out. He has one close fight on his record, the majority decision, at least over his last 5 fights. We saw some flaws in his game. He sometimes can get hit a lot and can be lulled into a dogfight. As of now, up until this stage of his career, his opponent's skill set, he's always the one to come out on top. But we know boxing is a sport of, what have you done for me lately? All it takes is one exchange to change everything on both sides of each fighter's career. When you look at both guys side by side, the age really isn't going to be a factor. Both men are in their physical primes. Chino's going to have the height advantage. He's going to have the reach advantage. Both guys are going to be orthodox fighters, and it's going to come down to Chino's durability. Will he be able to use his awkward style to affect the tempo of Charles Conwell, affect the timing and the space and distance? And if he is able to do that early, how long will he be able to hold up in doing that? Will Conwell be able to get inside? Will he be able to elude the jab of Chino? Will he be able to break Chino's body down and force Chino into a brawl in the phone booth? And who will be the most durable? Who will have the toughest chin at the end of the day? I think that's going to be the storyline and narrative of this fight. You have to think about the winner will project themselves directly into a title contender position, especially with a highlight reel knockout. When we talk about the odds and where Las Vegas has their money, let's take a look at that right now. Guys, I know you ask me all the time. I use an app down here in Australia called Sportsbet. Currently, the method of victory bet is not being offered, but as we get closer to the weekend, when they do open those lines up, I'll post it in the community section like I did last week and like I do every week. So let's get those apps out. All right, guys, currently the money line sits here. Charles Conwell is $1.13 favorite, meaning if you put $100 on Conwell to just win, you get $13 back plus your money. The draw's 21-1. Jorge Garcia is $6.75, meaning you put $100 for him to just win, you get $5.75 back. Now, when I look at both guys and where I feel most comfortable putting my money, especially watching their last 5 fights, how they go about their business, the stylistic matchup, everything we covered in this video, I'm actually pretty comfortable that Charles Conwell's power and style is going to eventually wear down a very tough Chino Garcia. I'm very confident in Charles Conwell getting the victory here, and I'm actually right now going to pick him to knock out Chino. I know Chino's never been finished. He's tough as nails. He's carrying into the ring a higher knockout to win percentage. His only losses, 3 close splits and a unanimous decision, but he's never fought a guy with the power of Charles Conwell. He's never fought a guy with the skill set of Conwell. I just think at this stage of the careers, this matchup fits perfectly for Conwell to put on display and showcase the danger he possesses. You guys do not have to agree with me. This is not an echo chamber. In the comment section below, do you guys think Chino's going to go into Oceanside, California and upset the odds and beat the Cleveland, Ohio product? Or do you think Bad News is going to continue his upward trajectory into a potential future title shot?
He's getting hit by a much slower fighter. And wait a minute, they've gone Royal Rumble WWE.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's rematch live from Birmingham, England, between Ben Whittaker and Liam Cameron. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please remember to hit subscribe? My YouTube analytics are telling me that 80% of you guys who watch my content haven't done that yet. Could you also like this video to help the video be boosted up to the YouTube algorithm, as well as go down to the bottom of your screen right now and hit the bell notification button so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, this is a much anticipated match between two Brits. One, the young rising prospect, the silver medal Olympic medalist, Ben Whittaker, the surgeon they call him, versus Sheffield's better beef. That's what he's becoming known as in the streets of Sheffield, England. I'm talking about the battle-tested Liam Cameron. Going into their first fight, guys, this one had a lot of vitriol behind it before the bell even rang. Whittaker, we know he's flashy. He carries himself in a certain way. Some people could be offended by this sort of thing, especially within the sport of boxing. Some people aren't offended by it. Whatever it was, somewhere along the lines, Liam Cameron took offense to Ben Whittaker's antics, and he let him know about it when that fight was being built up. So before the first round of that first fight, we knew it was going to be exciting. We just didn't know how interesting it was going to be. We have to remember, Ben Whittaker was the guy who would go viral literally almost after every fight for his antics. Call it showboating, call it showmanship. At 6'3", he was like a giant version of Prince Nassim Ahmed. A bit of a reflex fighter, a bit of a showman, and he would also end the show. Now, what everyone wasn't expecting is going into that first fight, how tough and durable Liam Cameron would be. But we should have known that. When you look at Liam Cameron's record and resume, he has never been finished. Going into that fight, 6 losses, never had been finished. And he shared the ring with some really tough opponents. He was recently coming off a split decision loss to Linder Arthur. So going into that fight, you had to think that Liam Cameron was the seasoned pro, the seasoned vet. He had more ring experience, but for some reason, We love hype. The sport of boxing loves virality, and everybody was putting their money on Ben Whittaker, and he was a huge favorite. Now, I just rewatched that tape. I just rewatched that fight, and we know how it ended in a controversial draw. As soon as the 5th round bell ended, they go up against the rope with Whittaker's back being up against the ropes. Cameron's pushing against him, and it looks like to me that Ben Whittaker suplexed Cameron over the ropes. Whatever it was, Whittaker couldn't continue. It was deemed a draw based off on the scorecards, and Whittaker had to be ushered out of the arena in a wheelchair. Now, the naysayers started coming out of the woodwork. They were saying that Whittaker was exposed. They were saying he was a fraud. They were saying he faked the injury, and then he wanted it to end because he knew the way the fight was going and Liam Cameron was getting the best of him. So in this video, we're going to break down that first fight. We're going to remind everybody what their resumes are, who each fighter is, and what you guys could expect. Also, stay tuned to the end of the video because I will be giving you my prediction. We'll be going over the Las Vegas odds, and I'll tell you where to put your money so you can make the most of it. Let's get into this. All right, guys, Ben Whittaker has a lot of parallels with a couple other British fighters that I just happen to be big fans of. I already talked about Prince Naseem Hamed. He's a legend of the sport. We know about the Flash. We know about what he meant for the lighter fighters, contracts, the eyes, the pay-per-view sales, but we also know the first time he showed vulnerability, whenever you have a flashy, showboating style and you don't win, everyone's going to come for you. That happened with Prince Naseem Hamed. My other favorite fighter who still fights, Joshua Kelly, PBK. He's a British Olympian. He's a Brit. And the first time he showed vulnerabilities, goes to America, fought to a draw, and then his only loss, David Evanesyan beat him. But Kelly's another one of these fighters that within the ring, his reflexes are on full display. Google Joshua Kelly's highlights, you'll see what I'm talking about. Ben Whittaker was almost a mix of both of these guys, but he's a big boy, a light heavyweight, 6'3", and we've seen the videos of him going viral, getting knockouts, rubbing his opponent's faces, tapping him on the head, doing a lot of disrespectful things within the ring, which rubs people the wrong way. Why, when this fight ended in a draw, controversially as it did, people were saying that he was a fraud. So, this is his opportunity to prove to the doubters that that first fight was just an abomination of sorts and that he's the guy originally that everybody thought he was. With Liam Cameron, this is a grizzled veteran who knows how to box. This is a guy who didn't mind being the underdog. Now, going into this fight, he's a much smaller underdog. The fight was close up until that incident happened when they go over the ropes, but the tide was turning. The momentum was turning. Liam Cameron was pouring it on, and in his eyes, his camp's eyes, his fans' eyes, he feels that he was going to win that fight. So right now, I want to remind everybody what's at stake this Easter Sunday in Birmingham, England. It'll be a Sunday night fight night when Ben Whittaker and Liam Cameron meet once again in an eagerly anticipated rematch on April 20th at the BP Pulse Live Arena in Birmingham. The pair first met in October of last year. The contest ended in a technical draw. Both men tumbled out of the ring in the 5th round. Whittaker and Cameron first boxed in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on October 12th. If you remember in the 5th round, Whittaker was backed up against the ropes, the two men's arms were locked in a clinch, and both men tumbled over the top rope and crashed over onto the ring apron. Due to injuries sustained, Whittaker did not continue and left the arena in a wheelchair. As a result, the fight went to the judges' scorecards. Both fighters were awarded a 58-57 score, with a third judge scoring at a 58-58 draw, resulting in a split decision technical draw. Cameron, who entered the fight as a substantial underdog, would go on to accuse Whittaker of looking for a way out. Guys, I should also mention, as of now, there's been controversy all fight week, whether this fight was going to be 12 rounds or 10 rounds. Both sides were arguing. As of now, on the box rec, it says that this is a 10-round fight. If that changes, I'll put it in the community section. Right now, let's take a closer look at Liam Cameron. Liam Cameron is 23-6-1 with 10 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 43% career knockout to win ratio. Now, to 1,802 light heavyweights in the world, he's ranked number 106. His adoring fans know him as Cannonball, and the 34-year-old Brit is a 6'2" orthodox fighter. We last saw him fight Ben Whittaker, who was 8-0. That was a draw in the 6th. Lyndon Arthur, 23-2, lost a split decision in the 10th. Itaba, 16-8, knocked him out in the 1st. Matthews, 17-76, knocked him out in the 1st. All right, guys, in this first fight, Liam Cameron's game plan was pretty evident. Let Ben Whittaker sort of do his thing in the 1st round, register, compute what he was going to do, and use your toughness and grit to withstand that initial onslaught and then make it your type of fight. And that's exactly what he did. Liam Cameron is at his best when he's in the clinch, when he forces Ben Whittaker to fight him close, and that's exactly what Ben Whittaker did. And as you saw the rounds go from the second to the third to the fourth, and you started seeing this was going to become a dogfight, and this is exactly what Cameron wanted, and this is exactly how the fight was going, and I thought it was going his way, and I was equally as shocked as all you guys when it ended the way it ended. So I'm super excited to see what's going to happen in the second one. Let's take a closer look at Ben Whittaker. Guys, Ben Whittaker's 8-0-1 with 5 knockouts. He carries in the ring 62% career knockout to win ratio. And out of 1,802 light heavyweights in the world, he's ranked 66th. His adoring fans call him the Surgeon, and the Brit is a 6'3" orthodox fighter. We last saw him fight Liam Cameron, 23-6, draw in the 6th. Aaron Yeka, 12-0, UD in the 10th. Willing, 7-1, points decision in the 8th. Garcia, 10-13, knockout in the 5th. Dreyage, 11-2, knockout in the 4th. So guys, with Ben Whittaker, when he left the amateur scene to turn pro, we started seeing him on this path of knockouts. Like a lot of guys with a lot of hype, they start their career working on their competition, and early on you could look great against lesser competition, and as you keep winning, this is where matchmakers come into play. The fans and yourself, you really get to see how good you are against better competition. Going into the first Cameron fight, he hadn't knocked a guy out in a couple fights, and people were starting to question, hey, was this a case of stepping up in opposition? And we got to see that against Cameron. He started the fight good. His jab looked good. He had the speed advantage. He looked a little bit bigger. His reflexes are on point, and just his overall athleticism is going to be better than literally almost everyone in that division. But as the fight went on, I started seeing him make some, I don't want to say mistakes, but things that I were questioning in terms of where he was allowing the fight to take place. He was allowing Cameron to lull him in a Cameron sort of fight where Cameron's strengths were in close. I would have liked to see Ben Whittaker use more of the ring. I would have liked to see Ben Whittaker use more of his movement and his strengths, but that just didn't happen. I don't know if it was a case that he got stung early or if it was an ego thing and he wanted to show Cameron that he was the tougher guy. But if that fight would have went on, which we're going to get to see it going on in a couple days, who knows how that would have ended. When I look at both guys side by side, if you go to Cameron's box rec, it says he's 6 feet tall. I don't know if this is because when he turned pro, he's 6 feet tall, but he's 6'2" now. You can see in the face-to-face and the stare down with Ben Whittaker, who's 6'3". They're about even, and on paper, Cameron's gonna have a little bit of a reach advantage. What I do want to talk about, other than the experience in the rounds, because you got to give that to Cameron as well, something that happened in the first fight that I feel that you can't measure and you can't write down, and it's hard to study or put a number or equate it to anything, is the mental side of things that I feel is on Cameron's side. How the fight went down, how he feels why Whittaker quote unquote quit, especially tactically. He was getting the best of the exchanges in close, and I felt like he did get hit with Whittaker's best shot in the first and second round, and he was still standing there. So you'd have to think that Cameron also has the psychological advantage going into this fight, even though once again he is the underdog. Now let's take a closer look at the Las Vegas odds. I use a sports book down here in Australia called Sportsbet. So if you're an Aussie down here, let's bring those apps out. All right, guys, currently on the money line, Ben Whittaker is a $1.39 favorite, and Liam Cameron is a $3.30 dog. The draw 17-1. If you take Whittaker on the money line, 100 gets you 39 in return if he wins. Liam Cameron as the underdog on the money line, 100 gets you your money back plus 230 on return. Now let's look at the method of victory bets, which I feel there's some great opportunity for you gamblers to make some money here. Now, Ben Whittaker to win a points or decision, to go all 10 rounds as of now, $1.92. So that's increases your juice by a bit, from $1.39 to $1.92 for him to win by points. But if you pick him to win by points and he wins by knockout, you lose your bet. If you want Ben to win by knockout, $4.50. $1 gets you your money back plus $3.50. Here's the interesting bit. Liam Cameron to win a points decision, $7.25. Liam Cameron to win by knockout, $5.20. So where the money is, the bettors who think that Cameron's going to win, they think he's going to knock Whittaker out at $5.20. So where I'm thinking about putting my money, and I don't know how controversial this is going to be, based on styles, when I look at their strengths, you have to give all of the physical attributes, the athleticism, the skill set, the height to Ben Whittaker. But after watching the last fight, breaking it down, watching it a few times now, seeing the savviness, the veteran slickness that Cameron possesses, also the psychological advantage that Cameron has, specifically how that fight ended. He took all the hype Whittaker had, and he has it now. And he knows he has the pedigree. I think he knows he has what it takes to beat him. And I'm putting my money on the underdog, the 3-1 underdog, Liam Cameron to beat Ben Whittaker. Now, if you want to just put that on a money line bet, I'm happy with that. I'm still 50-50 on what I'm going to do. I'm telling you I'm taking him, but come fight night or a little bit closer, I'll put in the community section because I'm thinking about being a bit froggy, and I think that Liam Cameron might stop Ben Whittaker. So I like that bet as well. For a 5-1 favorite, that could add a lot on a parlay, or just pick that outright. 10 grand, 5-1. You can make a quick 50 if Cameron stops Whittaker. So I'll let you know specifically where my money's at on a prop bet come closer to fight night. But 100% I feel that Liam Cameron outclasses, outgrits, outwills, and outboxes Ben Whittaker. In the comment section below, you don't have to agree with me. Let me know if you think the young surgeon is going to leave Birmingham the victor, or if the veteran from Sheffield is going to push back the odds and win this.
When your opponent has blood on their face, it's like a target.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight in Sheffield, England between Dalton Smith and Matthew Germain. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already hit the subscribe button yet, can you please do that? My YouTube analytics are telling me that 80% of you guys who watch my content haven't done that yet. Also, like this video, and right now go to the bottom of your screen to where the bell icon is and click that so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, we have a busy week of fights. This fight takes place in Sheffield, England. This is the main event between undefeated rising British superstar Dalton Smith taking on the French-Canadian Matthew Germain. Guys, this fight will be Germain's first ever outside of Canada. The French-Canadian's a 10-year pro, and he's going into this fight with the mindset that this is the biggest fight of his career so far. He does actually have a win over Steve Claggett back in 2021. You guys will know Claggett is a guy who fought Teofimo Lopez last year and actually fought him pretty well. What Germain's going to want to do is pressure his opponent. Now, with Dalton Smith, Dalton has shown us that he can be a patient counterboxer and he can be dangerous. It's now or never for Matthew. He put his hand up to take this fight. He has the main event. He has all the opportunity now at his doorstep. All he has to do is get through the tough 28-year-old Brit. With Dalton Smith, this guy has a storied amateur background. His British fans truly believe that he's going to be a world champion at 140 pounds. He's going into this fight headlining once again in Sheffield, looking at this not necessarily as a stepping stone or a stay busy fight, but as another step in the right direction to get the big names. I have to remind you guys, the champions at 140 pounds, the guys that Dalton is going after, you have Alberto Puello, Richardson Hitchens, you have Teofimo Lopez, and Gary Antoine Russell. We last saw Russell take on and defeat and take Rayo's belt, and we know Richardson Hitchens has been paired up with George Kambosos Jr. Rumors that fight's going to be announced any day now. And Dalton Smith in an interview this week said that after this fight, when he gets through Germain, he's going to call out Alberto Puello. So only time will tell. So right now I want to remind everybody what's at stake going into this weekend in Sheffield. Guys, the unbeaten super lightweight Dalton Smith is fighting Germain at the Cannon Medical Arena in Sheffield this weekend. Smith, the WBC's mandatory challenger, currently holds the European title and boasts a professional record of 17-0 with 13 knockouts. Germain, meanwhile, holds a record of 26-2-1 with 11 knockouts, and this will be his first fight outside of Canada. It's an honor to be headlining again in my home city, and this time at a new venue in the Cannon Medical Arena, said Smith. I'm sure it'll be a lively atmosphere like always in there, with my fans fully voiced. I had an excellent start to the year winning the European title in spectacular fashion, and now that I'm a mandatory challenger for the WBC title, I'm looking to keep up my activity, said Smith. Matthew Germain will be coming to win, but I'll be getting the job done. He's in the way of some huge fights for me. I'm not looking ahead or past him, but there will be one name I'll be calling out after dealing with Germain. WBC champion Alberto Puello. Where you at? I'm a boxer who thrives on challenges, said Germain. Dalton is one of them. I've been working hard my whole life for this moment. So that's going to be the narrative going into the fight. You have a seasoned veteran, the Canadian, acting as if this is his one time, this is his opportunity to step up and show the world what his skill set is. And with the Brit, Dalton Smith, the hometown kid, he's looking at this fight as business as usual and looking at the Canadian as just another roadblock in his path to becoming a world champion. Right now, I want to take a closer look at the Canadian's resume and see what he's been up to. Guys, Matthew Germain's 26-2-1 with 11 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 42% career knockout to win ratio. And out of 2,699 140-pound fighters in the world, he's ranked number 52. He has a career 198 pro rounds, and his adoring fans call him G-Time. The 35-year-old Canadian is an orthodox-style fighter, and we last saw him fight Aquino, 22-17, knocked him out in the 7th. Palma, 33-15, knockout in the 5th. Osada, 26-1, UD in the 10th. Jasso, 13-3, UD in the 8th. Guys, during my film study, what I did was look at his last opponent, Aquino, who came in there with a 22-17 record. Germain knocked him out in the 7th round. His style is going to be pressure forward. He comes orthodox, tries to stay pretty fundamentally sound until the firefight happens, and he's going to be willing to trade with Dalton Smith. That's his style. Come forward, pressure you on the back foot, force you to make the decisions, and force you to fight him. When people talk about styles being tailor-made, that's exactly what this is on paper for his opponent, Dalton Smith. Now let's take a closer look at the British fighter's resume and see what he's been up to. Guys, Dalton Smith is 17-0 with 13 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 76% career knockout to win ratio, and out of 2,701 fighters at 140 pounds, he's ranked number 16. His adoring fans call him Thunder, and the 28-year-old Brit is a 5'9" orthodox fighter fighting out of Sheffield, United Kingdom. We last saw him fight Walid Ouza, 19-2, knocked him out in the 1st. Zepeda, 37-4, knockout in the 5th. Maxwell, 17-1, knockout in the 7th. Allington, 10-1, UD in the 12th. In Dalton's first fight of 2025, it happened earlier this year in January against Walid Ouza, and Dalton Smith, his style is going to come out orthodox. He's going to be a little bit more patient. When he decides to exchange and throw, he is a nightmare. What Germain really needs to watch out after is Dalton Smith's backhand, his right hand. All the tape I watch on him, that's his most dangerous punch. That's the punch that finishes the fight. And a lot of times, the minute his opponents get hit with that punch, their body language changes, their intensity changes, and their game plan changes. And this is generally when Dalton Smith changes and gets his opponent out of there. When I look at these guys side by side, I looked on every fight source, guys. I went to my usual sites. I couldn't find the height of Matthew Germain for the life of me. Nobody has him listed at whatever he's listed at. So we'll see on fight night. We know Dalton Smith's somewhere around 5'9", and I can't say who has a height advantage because we don't know. Also with the reach, couldn't find that anywhere. Maybe that has to do with Germain not fighting out of Canada. The age difference, 35 and 28. You'd have to look at Germain's career. He's seen his better days. 35, not getting any younger, especially at 140 pounds. Dalton Smith's entering his physical prime. The one thing Germain will have on his side will be the round experience, the pro experience. We'll see if that's going to be enough to carry him past the Brit fighter. Now, when we're thinking about the odds, let's take a closer look at where Las Vegas has the money. I'm coming from Australia, so I'm using a betting app called Sportsbet. If you guys are Aussies, let's pull those betting apps right now. All right, guys, currently on the money line, Dalton Smith is a huge favorite. He's $1.09, meaning you put $100 for him to win in any fashion, you get $9 in return. 26-1 on the draw. Germain is an 8.25 underdog, meaning you put $100 on him to win, you get your money back plus 725. Now, on moneyline value bet, I don't see too much juice for the squeeze on this one, putting it on my parlay because Dalton's only $1.09, assuming he's gonna do what he does and win. But there are a few method of victory bets that I do like to add to a parlay. So if you guys are big bettors, this might be the bet for you. A method victory bet at the moment, Dalton Smith points decision is 520. 100 gets you your money back plus 420. Dalton Smith by knockout, 132. 100 gets you your money back plus 32. The Matthew Germain fans here, picking him points or decision 18-1. And Matthew Germain to win by knockout 12-1. So his fans where the money is going actually are saying that they could see him knocking out Dalton Smith more likely than they see him going the 12-round distance and decisioning him. So I should also mention that this is a 12-round fight. This will be Germain's first fight at this length. Now, the bet that I like where I'm thinking about putting my money in terms of more value for your risk would be taking Dalton Smith by knockout. It's only $1.32, but if you add that to one or two other bets and you go heavy on it, that'll add good value, meaning $100 gets you 32 back. I know a lot of you guys who message me are big time bettors, so that could be something to think about. I'm taking Dalton Smith in a 12-round fight against the Canadian to win by knockout. I like that $1.32. I think his style is going to be too much regarding his sort of counter boxing and where his skill set is. I think he's going to be the faster guy. That backhand has speed to it. He's going to be the stronger guy. I think he's going to be the more durable guy. We know he's 17-0. We know he's never lost. And when you take trajectory versus where the opponent's career has been and where it's going, it's pretty tough right now at this stage to go against Dalton Smith. He feels he's going to be a world champion one day, and who am I to say against that? In the comment section below, let me know who you like in this fight. Will you pick the Canadian to go into the UK and upset the odds, or do you think it'll be business as usual for Dalton Smith? Leave all that in the comment section below. What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's world title fight with the ladies at 112 pounds between the undisputed champion Gabriela Fundora and the challenger Marilyn Badillo. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already right now, could you please hit subscribe? Could you also like this video and go down to the bottom of your screen where you see the bell notification button? Hit that so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, all week we've been documenting the upcoming fights. There's fights in the UK. This card goes down in Oceanside, California. We already talked about the co-main event between Charles Conwell and Chino Garcia. This is the main event between the ladies. It's the flyweight undisputed world champion. All the belts are on the line. Gabriela Fundora, we know she is the youngest undisputed champion in boxing. She just turned 23, and she's just now, it seems, to be entering her physical prime based on her last performance, knocking out a very tough Argentinian fighter. With her opponent, she's facing an undefeated fighter from Mexico in Marilyn Badillo. So in this video, we're going to be going over both ladies' careers up until this point. We're going to remind everybody who they are. We're going to talk about how they go about their business. Also, stay tuned to the end of the video because that's where I'm going to break down the Las Vegas odds and give you guys my prediction and to tell you where you can make the most of your money. Let's get into this. The challenger, Marilyn Badillo, she has a tall task at hand, no pun intended, with her opponent, Gabriela Fundora. Badillo is going to be a fighter, a pressure forward fighter. She's an orthodox fighter. She's not going to have the reach advantage. She's going to be at a disadvantage with her height. Her style as well, she's going to be press, go forward. She's going to want to get inside the reach and inside the range of Gabriela Fundora and do her work to the body and try to break Fundora down. When I was doing my film study on Badillo, I was looking at one of her most recent fights against Rodriguez. It went the distance, and this is kind of how she gets her victory. She doesn't have a lot of knockout power, but she does have power in a sense to get her opponent's respect. She was fighting a very tough Rodriguez who was pressuring her the entire time. So we got to see a side of Badillo, her countering game, but usually she's the one pressing forward. So you could see the range and you could see the depth of her skill set. She's undefeated for a reason. She's put herself at this position in her career for a reason. With one victory, she'll become the undisputed world champion, and she's only 25 years old. In her opponent, Gabriela Fundora, we know that she's the sister of world champion Seb Fundora. We know that she comes from a family of fighters. Her mother was a boxer. She has 4 brothers. And when you look at her style, she's tall and rangy. She's a southpaw, and she fights similar to her brother Seb. She fights flat-footed from that southpaw style, and she doesn't take a lot of backward steps. She waits to counter you, and she pokes that jab, and when she gets going, she really gets going. She's fun to watch. She is an exciting champion and only 23 years old, and like I said, it seems to be with her last performance, she's just getting better and better. She had a really tough Argentinian opponent, Alanese, in her last fight, and in this fight, she was tested. She got stunned a couple different times. She did get the victory via 7th round knockout in exciting fashion, and with her Argentinian opponent, Alanese, she was pressuring Fundora the entire time, trying to get within that reach. She was having success in doing so. It's just that Fundora's body work and that jab over the round started breaking Alanis down and eventually stunned her in the 7th, knocked her down once, and then with that second knockdown, got her out of there. So this is going to be a tale of two different styles. So right now I want to remind everybody a little bit more in detail what's at stake this weekend in Oceanside, California. All right, guys, Gabriela Fundora's boxing's youngest undisputed world champion returns to the spotlight this Saturday as she puts her flyweight titles on the line against Marilyn Badillo at the Front Wave Arena in Oceanside, California. The 23-year-old American sensation will defend not only her WBA title, but also her WBC, WBO, and IBF belts in what marks her first defense since making history last November. That night, Fundora delivered a breakout performance by stopping Argentina's Celeste Alanis in 7 rounds, becoming the youngest fighter, male or female, to unify all 4 major belts in boxing history. Now undefeated at 15-0 with 7 knockouts, Fundora enters Saturday's main event riding a wave of momentum, having knocked out 3 of her last 4 opponents. Fast, technical, and ruthlessly efficient in the ring, she appears to be entering the prime of her career. Standing across from her will be Marilyn Badillo, a 25-year-old unbeaten challenger from Cuscatlán, Izcalli, Mexico, who's looking to pull off the upset of a lifetime. With a record of 18-0-1 with 3 knockouts and a reputation for sharp technique and relentless pressure, Badillo earned this shot after a strong performance in December against Gabriela Cortez. She's a former regional title holder under another sanctioning body and now finds herself on the biggest stage of her career. The high-stakes clash headlines a Golden Boy Promotions card and promises to be a compelling battle between 2 undefeated fighters with everything on the line. So yeah, it's an exciting fight between 2 young ladies who are at the top of their game, the #1 ranked fighter in the world at 112 and the #2 ranked fighter at 112. Both are undefeated, all the belts are on the line. It's going to be a fun fight. Right now I want to take a closer look at Marilyn Badillo's resume. Alright guys, Marilyn Badillo is 19-0 with 1 draw. She has 3 knockouts. Out of 221 flyweights in the world, she's ranked #2. She carries into the ring a 16% career knockout to win ratio. She has fought a career 122 pro rounds. Her adoring fans know her as La Mexicana. She's a 25-year-old Mexican who stands at 5'3" with a 65-inch reach, and she comes from Cuscatlán, Izcalli, Mexico. We last saw her fight Graciela Cortez, who was 6-7. She won a UD in the 8th. Alma Rodriguez, 10-3, UD in the 10th. Tanya Hernandez, 8-8, UD in the 10th. Edna Maltas, 5-10, UD in the 8th. Lorena Espero, 4-3, majority decision in the 8th. When you watch Badillo's highlights and you look at her resume, this is her biggest step up in opponents by far. It's also going to be her greatest opportunity. And in boxing, this is what it's all about. It's about creating a career for yourself, putting yourself in position to fight for world titles. And at 25 years old, Badillo has already done that. And in doing so, she gets the opportunity of a lifetime. Right now, let's take a look at her opponent, Gabriela Fundora. Guys, Gabriela Fundora is 15-0 with 7 knockouts. She carries into the ring a 47% career knockout to win ratio, and she's currently ranked as the #1 flyweight in the world. She holds all the belts, and her adoring fans know her as Sweet Poison. The 23-year-old American's a southpaw standing at 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. We last saw her fight Alanis, who was 15-1, knocked her out in the 7th. Asenio, 16-3, UD in the 10th. Cruz, 6-0, knockout in the 10th. Muccino, 32-3, knockout in the 5th. Santizo, 11-2, UD in the 8th. Like I talked about, with a 47% career knockout to win ratio, that doesn't sound too high. But with the ladies and in a division that's only 112 pounds, and having 3 of her last 5 wins coming by way of knockout, it seems to me that Fundora is learning to develop her power, and she's learning to sit on her backhand. She uses her jab similar to her brother to set up her range and set up her distance, almost baiting her opponents coming in. Everybody who fights a Fundora, whether it's Gabriela or Seb, are going to be at a disadvantage with reach and height. So you just have to get used to that if you're one of their opponents. The thing you can't get used to is getting hit too many times, because early on in the fight you might think that you're in a safe distance and the power isn't too bad. You could withstand it, but over time, what Gabriela likes to do, similar to her brother, is break her opponents down and eventually look for the knockout, and that's exactly what she did in her last fight, and this is what I'm expecting her to do in this fight. I look at the fighters side by side. We already talked about the height and reach. That's going to be jumping off the paper. Over a 6-inch height advantage is going to be something that Fundora uses really well against all of her opponents. They're both in the physical prime of their careers. The one advantage Badillo does have is her ring experience and round experience, but all the belts are on the side of Fundora. And when I think about a game plan that Badillo is going to have to do, her strategy is going to have to be jab to get in, try to push Fundora back, get her uncomfortable, force her fighting backwards. The problem with that is she does that really well, considering her flat foot style. She welcomes her opponents to try to push her back, countering them with the backhand and then forcing them to make mistakes. We'll see what sort of game plan Badillo brings in this weekend, if she's going to use her movement side to side or if she stays on that center line, which we've seen in a lot of her past fights. Let's look at the Las Vegas odds right now and see where the money is. Guys, the book I use down here is called Sportsbet. So if you're in Australia, let's pull that betting app out. Currently, right now, the odds makers are only allowing us to take a money line bet. If the method of victory props open up towards the end of the week, I'll put that in the community section. Currently, Gabriella is a huge favorite. She's $1.06, meaning if you put $100 on her to win, you only get 6 in return. Her opponent Badillo is an 11-1 underdog. 100 gets you over 1,000 back. So currently, if the odds stay like this, and I'm not allowed to do any method of victory bet, meaning no knockout victory or decision victory, I'm probably going to leave this fight alone. I probably won't put it on a parlay. $1.06 isn't worth the squeeze in terms of risk versus reward. My prediction for this fight is I'm taking Gabriella Fundora to keep her belts. I think at the end of the day, her height's going to be too much, her power's going to be too much, and just her overall skill set. I think that she's also going to get the knockout. I'm interested to see if we could bet on that and what those odds will be. Granted, her opponent Badillo's tough. She's never lost. She's never been knocked out. I just think that there's levels to this, and we're going to see that Saturday night in Oceanside, California. In the comment section below, you don't have to agree with me. Do you think that Badillo has what it takes to go into California and take the belts away from Fundora? Do you think it's going to be business as usual and we're going to hear and still? Also, guys,